Hello, this is Pastor Scott Porter from Abiding Word Church in Sterling, Illinois with today's Video Devo. You can join me here every weekday morning for a word of encouragement that I believe will help you get your day started out right. Did you know that God still speaks to people today? And did you realize that He would like to speak to you? God tells us that He wants to talk to us. The Bible is full of examples, hundreds of examples, of God talking directly to people. In fact, if God didn't talk to people, we wouldn't have this book, the Bible. The whole reason we've got this is God spoke to people, told them to write it down, and they did over a period of thousands of years, and now we have the Bible to read, to study, to learn from, to read what God had said to those people, and He wanted to say to us. In the Bible, God uses many different ways to communicate. Obviously, God is God. He can communicate any way He wants to. If He wants to communicate through a light bulb, He can do that. Actually, pretty bizarre, but He spoke in many different ways. He spoke to Moses through a burning bush. He spoke to a guy named Jacob through an angel. He spoke to the entire nation of Israel through a cloud. In fact, one time, He spoke to a man named Balaam through a donkey. Imagine that, a jackass. Now that might surprise you. Some of you might say, does God ever do that today? Well, sure He does. He does it every weekend at Abiding Word Church. It's really pretty bizarre. But in Job chapter 33, he said this: God speaks in different ways, but we don't always recognize His voice. God has many different ways that He speaks in. Problem is, we often don't recognize it. We don't realize that it's God talking through that person or through His Word or whatever it is talking to us. So we have to work on the perception issue. Here's the kicker. God speaks to people who decide in advance that they're going to do whatever God tells them to before He even tells them. God doesn't speak to people who say, God, tell me what your plan and purpose is for my life, and then I'll consider it. I'll think about it. Put it on the back burner. God doesn't speak to people who say, God, tell me what you want me to do next, and I'll consider it amongst my many different options in life, and then I'll choose. No, God says we're not going to play those type of games. God only speaks to the people who say, Father, you tell me what to do, and I'll do it. So it's an attitude of saying yes, even before you know. You're writing the blank check with God. And it's really quite an adventure. I don't know what you want me to do with my career, my family, who to marry, where to work, where to go to school. I'm just laying it all out before you. Father, whatever you want, that's what I'm going to do. God decides in advance, and so do we. Let me ask you a very personal question. How serious are you about wanting to hear from God? You say, well, that'd be kind of nice, kind of a cool thing to hear God speak to me. That would be really nice. Well, that's not enough. The question you have to ask yourself is, hearing from God, is it a nicety or a necessity? God speaks to people who say, God, I have got to know what you want for my life. I have got to know your will. I have got to know what you want me to do, because I'm not moving ahead until you tell me. Who do you want me to marry? What do you want me to do? How can I use my life, the rest of my life, 2012, this next year, my retirement years, whatever? That's the person God speaks to, who really wants to know and desire to do God's will. The person who says, here am I, Lord, send me. This is Pastor Scott Porter from Abiding Word Church in Sterling, Illinois, reminding you that Jesus loves you, and we do too. Now go out and make it a great day today.